Alright everyone, you asked for a Titan build, so here we are. It's not just any Titan build though, it's quite possibly the strongest ever sword build you've ever seen as well. As we know, swords are absolutely top tier when it comes to damage output, so how on earth do we make them even better? Well, today we're going to find out exactly how. So if that's what you want, you're in the right place. Subscribe now to be the lucky number 13th subscriber today, help me hit 27.4 likes, and let's get into it. There's an absolute truck ton of swords in Destiny 2 right now, whether it's the spin to win falling guillotine, the heavy hitting exotic lament, or the sword formerly known as speed skating the sword. Bungie have tinkered with them slightly, but if you can get beyond the soul crushing stomp mechanic of any boss, then you have a boss melting monster on your hands. Today though, we are focusing on one specific sword, and one that once a good proportion of the community finally get a hold of, could literally be one of the all-time favourites in Destiny 2. Sola's Scar is the Trials of Osiris specific sword. Up until the point of writing this, I believe it's only been available in the loot pool from wins for a few weeks, with the Adept version being the most recent offering. I was lucky enough to bag the Adept one, but unlike all other Adept weapons which get boosting all stats upon masterworking, this literally acts like any other sword, but it does have the bonus of being able to accept Adept mods which can be obtained from either the Lighthouse or Grandmaster Nightfall ordeals. The Adept mods for a sword aren't game changing, but can be a nice bump to an already great weapon, and so any base Solar Scar will also do. First up, this weapon is in the caster frame archetype, meaning that you can launch a heavy projectile attack. With full sword energy, the attacks are stronger and cost more sword ammo to use too, whereas heavy attacks whilst not fully charged will only cost 1 ammo, therefore giving you a greater range of ad clearing options. The great thing about this sword though is that it's solar, and on using the heavy attack it creates a flare of solar damage on impact, burning the target over time. Now under the right circumstances, this can and does create a Warmind Cell. It doesn't seem to trigger against rank and file adds, as the base impact will take them out before the burn effect does, but against larger enemies and bosses who can be affected by the damage over time burn, it has the same chance to create a Warmind Cell as any other weapon, which is handy because swords are perfect for dealing with higher health enemies anyway. I repeated this on all my classes, so it wasn't just the build here that I've put together creating them either, which is a very Warmind Cell potent build. If you have a chain reaction roll on this sword though, you'll have a much easier time at creating Warmind Cells too, so be on the lookout for that one if you get chance. This one though has Assassin's Blade, which is very underrated, giving a 15% bump to damage after a kill. This lasts for 5 seconds and can stack with other buffs too. Tireless Blade is also a great perk for this sword, as every other heavy attack will grant sword ammo, meaning you can go ham with the projectile attack and not waste too much ammo. Now we've gushed over the sword for long enough, so let's get into the meat of this build and how to make it arguably the best sword build in Destiny right now. As it's a ranged weapon, you'll be taking lots of incoming damage as you use your projectile attack, and so there's only one other exotic in the game which goes hand in hand with swords, and that's the exotic Titan Gauntlet Stronghold. Clenched Fist is the intrinsic perk, whereby it will maximise the guard stat on any equipped sword. Also, shots blocked immediately after guarding will heal you. It's extremely good when it comes to swordplay, and it pairs perfectly with the caster frame swords like Sola's Scar. Performing a perfect guard will give you a chunk of healing which can be continued back to back to block multiple shots and heal you back to full health easily. On top of that though, we have lots of great mods this season which are hugely beneficial to swordplay in the game. Passive guard from the seasonal artifact will mean you take less damage from enemies nearby whilst you wield a sword. They do have to be very close for this to proc, and so this is ideal for large mobs and up close boss encounters. There's also the Disrupting Blade mod for dealing with overload champions, and with Solar Scar you don't even need to be on top of them to disrupt them, as the projectile attack will do the business. Now to create Warmind Cells from sword kills with Solar Scar, you'll need to use the Wrath of Rasputin mod. This allows Solar Splash damage final blows to create a Warmind Cell. There's plenty we can do with Warmind Cells too, but I'm staying away from blowing them up this time to be a bit more creative. Warmind's protection is first up, which will add to our swordplay survivability in the trenches as you'll take less damage by enemies near to a Warmind Cell. Sheltering Energy is the next mod, which will provide you with an overshield when you collect a Warmind Cell too. Both of these mods will stack with the passive guard mod to boost your resistance even further and are very underused as far as Warmind Cells go. The last Warmind Cell mod we've got is Warmind's Light, which allows you to become charged with light by collecting a Warmind Cell. Now we want to become charged with light so we can use the final mod here, Lucent Blade. This will grant you a buff to sword damage for 7 seconds after causing damage with a sword and will stack with other weapon buffs including Assassin's Blade. Its secondary perk will boost the sword energy recharge rate, but honestly I wouldn't activate it if I was you, as otherwise you'll speed through your ammo in the blink of an eye, and given how effective the single ammo ranged attack is, it gives you more options gameplay wise. Sword ammo finder and scavenger mods are a must with the caster frame swords due to their poor ammo economy too. But to round out the build, we're going to use the Sunbreaker Code of the Siegebreaker to take advantage of the Sun Warrior perk. It's a potent subclass, as dealing ability damage will create sunspots which when passed through grant the Sun Warrior buff, which boosts ability recharge rate and buffs weapon damage too. Further kills while Sun Warrior is active will create sunspots, and so you can effectively chain them infinitely in the right situations. Weapon kills can create sunspots too here, including your sword. But Sunshot is always a viable choice for any Sola Warmind Cell build and is a great option for any sword downtime and to set everything on fire too. Kinetic weapons wise, I've gone for the Heritage due to its great DPS potential with its Reconstruction perk. Now this build is incredibly strong and versatile. You can either spam heavy attacks to deal large area of effect damage with the sword to mass amount of adds, or use it very precisely to take down adds with the light attack to trigger Assassin's Blade and then engulf larger enemies with a fully charged heavy attack to deal huge amounts of damage from a distance. Which, with either Lucent Blade or Sun Warrior active, will give you a great boost to your overall DPS too. If all else fails, Sunshot is a blast, literally, and you can't go far wrong with it. You can even chuck in the Unstoppable Hand Cannon mod 2 for this season to round out any endgame build options. I hope you enjoyed this quick build guide, as we give the light subclasses and the Titan some love. If you did, then please hit that like button. 27.4 likes is the goal for this one, and whilst you're there, subscribe too. It'd be rude not to. That's it for this one though, so on that, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.